Good evening, everybody. I am back. We're live. We're going to be talking about Sales Navigator tonight. And I've got a list of stuff that I'm going to help you with in terms of using it well and making it effective in your business. So if you're joining me, say hello in the chat. Love to say hello to people in the chat. That'd be brilliant. And we will kickstart in a couple of minutes, just once everybody's loaded in and away they go. If you've never been on one of these sessions before, it's free training. I'll tell you as much as I can in the session. This one's a little bit more interesting because people are joining us from different platforms all at once. So we got a lot of people on different platforms, which is a bit crazy. So I'll try and keep up with the chats on screen, which should be interesting. So do say hello and tell me where you're joining from. That would be brilliant. Nice to see everybody joining. And we're going to start in a couple of minutes. And if you are cautiously optimistic about Sales Nav, you want to know how to make the best use of it, I'm going to give you some practical things that you can do with Sales Nav that will make a difference tomorrow. So not kind of just, hey, look, it does this. I'm going to tell you what to do with some things that will actually get you into conversation with people. So that's what we're going to look at tonight. I'm just going to check to make sure the chat is now loaded. Brilliant. Hi, Garrett. Hi, Neil. Hi, Roshana. Hi, Gaurav. Hi, Victor. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Salestar. Hi, Simone. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Lynn. Birmingham. Anybody from Bristol here? Paul from Lanzarote. Paul, I'd rather be in Lanzarote. It's pretty chilly right now. Hi, Adrian Miller from Bath. I'm going to Bristol tomorrow. We're doing an event in Bristol. So up your way. Chris from UK, welcome. Right. So lots of people are joining. Hi, Mia from Rapid Robotics. Lots of people are joining. What I'm going to do, just to kind of keep some structure, I'm going to come back and say questions at various different points, and I'll pick up on the questions as we go. I kind of got a little bit of a ticking off the other week because we did a session and I didn't quite finish everything because I was kind of in quick fire question round. So I'll come back to the questions at various stages once I've finished something, so I don't confuse people in the middle of it. John from Crete, Dimitri from Belgium, welcome. Julie from Sheffield. I tried to do the accent then, Julie, and failed a little bit. Raphael from Warsaw. Stephen, hi, Stephen. And hi, Mark, Digital Junkies. So, right, Sales Navigator. I'll just do a little intro, and then we'll get into some of the practical things that you can do with it and give you some things you can actually go and do right now. So first things first, we all know LinkedIn is a massive opportunity. There's 862 million decision makers on there. It's the biggest B2B database on the planet. We know that there is amazing potential there, but the frustration is we can't seem to catch it or grab hold of it in a way that works consistently. And I'm going to show you what we do with some of our enterprise level clients, so some of our big stock market listed companies, how we do it for them, and you can learn a little bit about it for yourself. And I'll give you some message template as well, and I'll show you some of mine that I use to start conversations. So we know it's a big opportunity, but there's this disconnect of making it work. So I am going to give you today practical stuff you can do with Sales Navigator that will yield results for you immediately. Not same day, of course, but as soon as you implement it, you'll start to get traction. So that's what we're going to do. And imagine this, you actually start using LinkedIn and it actually starts working for you. And you go, this is the best thing I've ever done. Most people, I'll tell you now, if you're a small business owner, you're a salesperson, actually one of the biggest problems is I found, and I've trained thousands of people in online, in workshops, is when they approach something new, if there's a bit of resistance, often it's like, oh, maybe it doesn't work. And there's this kind of self-doubt that you kind of, oh, I don't want to invest time because what if it doesn't work? I can tell you now, I have seen people selling propeller wind turbine blades to people on LinkedIn, not literally in selling, but setting up calls. Banks, financial services. I've seen people selling marketing services. I've seen people selling bespoke furniture. I've seen all sorts of stuff being sold through LinkedIn. So if you're sat here going, this won't work for me, you must be so unique on the planet because everybody's there. I had somebody the other day say to me, my decision maker isn't on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay. So let's take a look at some practical stuff. I'm going to come to questions a little bit later, but I'll come at various intervals. So probably every 10, 15 minutes, I'll come back and say questions. If you have a question in the meantime, put it in the chat and I'll come back to them. So, okay, just a first whistle stop thing about Sales Navigator. I'll come up to the screen now. And Sales Navigator's gone through a lot of iterations over the last few months, massive changes on the platform. I got an invite to go to LinkedIn. This is quite funny. So I got an invite to go to LinkedIn's headquarters next week because they want to show us some new features and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I really want to go because during the pandemic, you couldn't go to stuff like that. So it's like the first proper time out to go see LinkedIn, see what they're up to, what they're developing. And I had to turn it down because I'm traveling, traveling to speak at another event. So I had to turn it down. So I had to decline an invite to LinkedIn, which is really funny. So they've gone through a lot of changes. They've invested a lot of time in this. And some of the new features and some of the ways it works are just really, really good. Now, the first thing, the obvious thing is LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the biggest search and stalking tool of your prospects you'll ever find. So you'll be aware of it. I'm not going to give you the basics here because one, I have a course that does that back to front, left to right, inside and out. I just want to kind of just focus in so that we can move forward a little bit. So lead filters obviously allows you to search through the LinkedIn network to find the people who are relevant to you, that are your ideal client, they're in your target audience. You can drill down in lots of ways. But there's a couple of ways that I think are quite useful. And I want to point these out today because I think they will speed up your success with LinkedIn. So I could go through all of these, but we'd run out of time. So what I want to do is I want to focus in on a couple of search filters you may not have seen or you may not have used. So the first thing is activities and shared experiences. This is a filter down here. These are key ones. So look through, change jobs in the last 90 days, posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, follow your company page. These are some of the filters that will find you the low-hanging fruit, i.e. people who've changed jobs in the last 90 days means that they probably are looking at new alternatives. They're looking at their supplier base with fresh eyes. There's no previous loyalties. They're looking to put their stamp on it. So there is that opportunity because they're new in the role. Mentioned in the news in the last 30 days is just that they've been mentioned in the press. Why does that matter? Because that's a good talking point to start a conversation or to open up a conversation. Posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. That does not mean that they are the most active on the platform, but it is an inclination that these people are showing up more. Doesn't mean that you discount everybody else, but obviously if I want as many, to approach as many people in the next couple of weeks as possible and get responses, I should try and zero in on the people who've been active in the last 30 days. Doesn't mean that other people haven't. It just means it's a list of people that are potentially easier to talk to rather than filtering one by one. So these spotlight features here are really useful, and whatever search you put in, I would highly encourage you to use them. Now, we all know people on LinkedIn are not coming onto the platform going, oh, I wonder who's going to sell me some stuff today. They're not in that buying mode. And one of the cardinal sins I see people make on LinkedIn, on Sales Navigator in particular, is they presume that people need what they sell. They presume that people want to even listen to them. And this is the reality. One of the downsides of all marketing and sales channels now is because they've been abused, people are more desensitized to getting emails, text messages, everything. And so we have to work a little smarter if we want to reply. 5 or so years ago, I could send messages that were basically templated and get probably a 15 to 20% reply rate. That is near impossible to send a templated message and get that kind of reply rate. Earlier today, I was with a client who was saying to me, we need a templated message campaign. And I was like, this is gritting on me. But they said, that's what we want to do. So I was like, okay, I'm going to write something for you. So I wrote a campaign for them. They've already tested it so far with their sales team, and they've got a 6% response rate from one message. So 6% response rate where people are open to having a conversation about business. So that's, in my book, that's not great, but as a template, that's not bad. So what I want to show you is two real things now about really focusing in on understanding that our target audience are not in buying mode. They're not even thinking about buying something. And so when you're approaching your messaging, you need to really think, is this person actually thinking about what I'm selling right now? Because if they're not, and your sales pitch is just about what you're selling, what will happen is you will lose people. They will ignore your message. So one of the features in Sales Navigator that we can use is obviously the messaging inbox. But what we can do is approach Sales Navigator with a more relational process. So let's say, for an example, I've got my leads here. I've done a search, right? Now, this is where you can operate a cadence with a prospect that will warm them and make them more responsive to your message. So I always suggest it. Think about it. In the old days, if you were going to meet a potential client, you'd go to their offices, you'd wait in their reception, they'd come and greet you in reception, you'd shake hands or say hello or something, and then they'd show you to their office or to the meeting room where you were going to talk. And my job going to see that potential client is to convince them, to break the ice on the way to the meeting room with general chit chat, getting to know you, talking about the weather, icebreaker style conversations. And that was just a way of just breaking the ice to make the actual meeting go more smoothly. And you might spend 5 or so minutes into the meeting talking about general, non-important stuff, irrelevant stuff, but it helps build a bridge for the business conversation. So now that we know that and we do that, we even do that with prospects on Zoom calls. We chit chat with them before we get down to the point. One of the things we can do is if we use Sales Navigator to target our decision makers and we drill down to the right people, we can't tell if they're in buying mode or not. But what we can do is make sure our approach is the least gritting, as frictionless as possible, and as relational as possible to make sure that people want to respond to us. So we've seen that in this spotlight section here, we can filter to find low-hanging fruit or more accessible people. But one of the things we can do is when we find a list on Sales Navigator of people, we can save them into a list. Now, I'm not going to do this list particularly because I've got a list in here already. But when we save these people into a list, what LinkedIn does, so we put it in there and there's 25 in there. What LinkedIn will do is it will populate this home feed on Sales Navigator with the people you've saved's activity. So that's why it's important to find people who are relatively active, because you can save them in there. And every time that they post, they share, there's some news, you get informed. Why does this matter? Well, if you're trying to connect with senior level decision makers, maybe you've got a big service offering, high ticket, £50,000, £100,000, biggest opportunity that was created I've been involved with on LinkedIn was £2 million a year deal. And the conversation started on LinkedIn, went to a meeting, back and forth, the normal sales process, deal closed. That deal was done because of the way the message opened on LinkedIn, the way the conversation got going. And this is what we call priming. It's where I save my targets into Sales Navigator as a lead list, and then all of the data that's going on in them appears here. Now, once you save a list, so I've got 25 in this list here. The 25 in here, what I can do is once I save them, it will start to update here, and you'll have a stream of consciousness. Now, here's a tip. Don't work on more than 100 prospects at once. The reason being is if you want to warm up a prospect by interacting and engaging with them, and I'll explain why you should do that in a moment. If you do too many, you will overwhelm yourself and you won't be productive. And if you do too few, the updates won't be often enough to keep you busy, keep you active, and keep people moving forward. So why should we prime a prospect and use Sales Navigator's home feed to do it? We do it because we're creating that walk from reception to the meeting. That's what we're doing digitally. We're creating a warming and ice breaking so that the message is more effective down the end. We're doing it so that they'll connect with us. If you engage with a prospect twice before you connect, your connection acceptance rate shoots up. If you send a cold connection request, if you're really lucky in certain industries, you can get a 25% acceptance rate. So let's just put this in context. If you are sending lots of connection requests because you want to sell what you do, you want to promote what you do, fair enough. If you do it rushed, 75% of the people you want to sell to will not connect with you. 75%. There's no perfect answer, by the way, but if you do too little actions beforehand, not the same day, one a couple of days before, maybe one the same time as you connect, your connection rate shoots up over 50%. Over 50%. So instead of losing 75% of all the people you want to talk to because they won't connect, you actually gain more than 50%. So you increase the number of people you can talk to. Why would you want to connect? Why not just in mail? Well, I'm going to say something, and hopefully LinkedIn isn't watching. In which case, if they are, I will probably cease to exist tomorrow on LinkedIn. But I found my personal experience, particularly with the new inbox, and LinkedIn are rolling out a better inbox soon. I got the notification about that. Maybe I would have heard about that next week. Is in mails, we now know their ads. We now know their promotional stuff. So we tend to ignore them more. So they're not as effective, I feel, as they used to be. It doesn't mean you don't use them, but they're not as effective as they used to be. The other advantage of connecting, obviously, is they get to see you in their feed a little bit more. So there's a benefit to that. So connecting with your decision makers is important. It's also important to realize that not everybody's going to want to buy right now. So having them connected, if they see a few of your posts, you'll be top of mind for down the road. You won't necessarily be forgotten. Cardinal sin of salespeople, they find the easy, low-hanging fruit very often and move on. And very rarely do they spend any time nurturing the people who aren't in buying mode right now. So interacting before you ask them to do something, so connect or before you send us a message, can actually improve your success rate. So that's where this home feed on Sales Navigator becomes important, because it will give you a stream of what's going on. But remember, don't put too many people in it that you can't keep up, and don't put too few that there's not enough there to do something daily with each prospect. Something daily. So interacting a couple of times before you connect, interacting a couple of times before you start to ask for a meeting is a surefire way to increase your connection rate, which means you've got more people to talk to and you're going to get better responses. We call it priming. We have a whole methodology we unpack called the 7 steps of how you go from this person doesn't know you, you've warmed them up, and you're opening a conversation, including how do you do that with the more elusive people on LinkedIn who perhaps are not very active. How do you do it in that way? How do you mix it with email and all of that stuff? But the simple principle is engage with them a couple of times before you want them to do something for you. And if you do that principle, your response rate goes up. So, okay, so 7 steps, priming, tick. We looked at the Sales Navigator features here on the lead filters down here to find the low-hanging fruit, because some of you are messaging people who are not even on the account. They've not logged in, they're not active, and so you're sending messages wondering why you're not getting responses. It's because you're picking people who are not there. It's no point messaging somebody if they've not logged in days or weeks, because your message is going to sit there gathering dust. So that's really important. Now, the other thing that you can do with Sales Navigator, obviously you've got the messaging here, but one of the really good things is in the accounts filter section. Now, I'm not going to go into the buyer intent piece here because there's a whole ton of time we could spend on the buyer intent. But suffice to say, the new version of Sales Navigator will score your leads and your target companies by how interested they are in your business. And they score them by high, moderate, and low. And so basically LinkedIn Sales Navigator is telling you, hey, you should talk to these people. The new Sales Navigator here every week sends me some recommended leads. And you'll see in here, it's giving me 100 recommended leads every single week. And I can go, right, awesome. I've got 100 recommended leads here. I'm going to add them to another list, my leads list. And all of these people, it's saying, Dean, these people are interested in what you're doing. So buyer intent dashboard and some of the new features allow you to score your prospects, and it will tell you which are the most likely to buy. So you can see suddenly there's a whole host of opportunities here on Sales Navigator that you may have not seen. But having all of this information is great. You have to do something with it. That's why the priming becomes so important. So you don't mess up pitches or you mess up approaches to prospects. You do it in a way to give you the best response. I said to somebody the other day, I was having a conversation with somebody about my response rate to messages. And my response rate to messages is generally about 25%. So for every 4 people I message, I'll get 1 reply. That's positive reply. Why is that? Because I understand that just hammering people is, you can play a numbers game, and we have this debate about the numbers game. If you go quality, I can get 1 in 4. If you go quantity, you can get maybe 3 in 100. So you look at that and go 3 in 100, if you're lucky, 1 in 4. So for 4 messages I spend time on, I get 1. For 100 you send, which has to be templated when you're 100, or copy and paste, you get 3. So I can do 16 and get the same as you because I go all in. Now, if you're selling a 50 quid thing, that's probably a waste of your time to go all in on a 50 quid thing. But if you're selling a 50 grand thing, it's worth the money. It's worth it. It's worth every penny to extract the maximum return on investment from your time. And you don't get a return on investment spending an hour and a half writing a template and then automating it or copy and pasting it when you can go all in and be relevant. So anyway, we come to my next point, which is number one, we've said about those filters. We've talked about accounts lists, but that's all information. The second thing we talked about, the primary thing we talked about, is priming, breaking the ice so that people don't see you as just some random. You're now a real person who's engaged with them. So liking and commenting and interacting. And if you see an article, you might share it in a message, but you're not doing anything to promote your business in that way with them for a few times. Then we come to relational messaging. Relational messaging. Now, if I just flick to my LinkedIn for a moment, and hopefully you're all still here, I'm just going to flick and filter to my, let me just refresh my inbox. I want to filter to my InMail, and I want to show you some of the sales pitches I get, and they're all pretty much the same. They're all email looking emails. And this, for an example, is what happens if you send too many messages with the same template, or you get lots of people rejecting your messages or reporting your messages. Firstly, you get disappeared, but secondly, you get marked as spam. And this happens very easily if you're sending lots of messages. So it's really important that you look at the messages and go, oh, hang on, why are they all looking like emails? So what I want to talk to you about is relational messaging. I'm going to do some questions in about 5 minutes or so. And I'm just going to, hopefully you can see this here. Let me share with you one of the most powerful messages I've ever used. And I'll just send a new message. Let me see if I can zoom in here to make it a bit easier. What's going on here? Everybody still with me? I'm going to pick on David Faulkner, which is a member of our team. So here's David, right? Now, our inclination is to write LinkedIn messages like they're emails. The problem is LinkedIn isn't email. It isn't email. It's more like text messages and WhatsApp than it is email. In fact, messaging on LinkedIn is way more informal than email. Now, I'm not going to go, hey, bro, how you doing? Because I would never talk like that. And here's the test. Would you communicate like that with somebody in real life? So if I just punch up the message here. Oh, I can't get the message bigger. It's really annoying. Let me see if I can zoom in. Right. So the first thing is I can go, hi, David, which immediately smells of sales pitch. Yeah. Because with somebody you would never do that. So let me tell you one of the most effective messages I've ever used. Ever. That one. That is my most successful message at getting a response. Do you want to see my second? Send that one. And then that one. Dead simple. Look at, I have got different versions of this one, but this is pretty much the framework of this kind of works quite well. So can I ask you a quick question, Dave? Notice I put this name at the end of it. I don't put it at the beginning because it's more informal, so I'm getting people to warm to me. The other reason why this works so well is because it creates curiosity. Curiosity. People think, even in corporates, people think that formality is corporate. It isn't. People are human beings. And so they talk like normal human beings. Don't forget it. Don't inject formality into an informal, social, but professional network. So I put the first name at the end, which actually creates more interest. And the message itself makes people curious. Now, just coming to this, for you to get a lead, for you to get a meeting, somebody has to be curious, not certain, curious. You've piqued their interest. So I don't want to take too much of your time, so I'll be quick. We're looking to talk to who are struggling with a problem or a challenge. What's the big thing that you solve? We provide, and I've used this for FTSE listed variations, slight variations. Tell people about what you do and the result it brings. Do you have 20 minutes on Thursday to share a bit more? Now, I'll come off share screen a minute because I want to go to questions, but I want to explain why I do that. So one of the reasons why I've got loads of questions here, and I will come to them one by one. One of the reasons why I don't go into too much detail is because I want them to respond. So the first message is getting them to respond, and then I go back. People are buying outcomes and results. So I keep it really informal, really low key. Keep it casual. I don't even sign it off like an email. Why? Because I want them to see, one, it's from a human being, and it's way less formal. It's more conversational. I'm leading people into a conversation. I will not do a deal on LinkedIn. I will just try and get that 20 minutes. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I always, if everybody came back to me, I'd be in real trouble because my favored time is I always suggest to the people Thursday at 2. Thursday at 2. I just send everybody Thursday at 2. The reason being is it changes the nature of the conversation from are you open to a meeting to are you open to a meeting on Thursday at 2? So if they come back and say no, well, fine. But you could also say, oh, is there another time that works for you? Because I know that we've done this work for this client. So it creates a conversation. So I always presume a time and I tell people a time, and it does help make the conversation smoother. Now we've got a few questions here. Stephen Dyson says, I don't have the buyer intent dashboard. I will work through the questions. So I'm just working from top to bottom. So first thing is, I don't have buyer intent. You need to have advanced or advanced plus. And Stephen, you can upload contacts into LinkedIn and it will score them for you. So I could take a list of companies that I want to do business with and it will score them for me. So whether they're in your CRM or the website inquiries, you can put them in and score them. Some people ask me at this point, how does LinkedIn score them? Well, they score it by so many people now check out profiles as part of the buying decision-making process. So they score that in, they score company page visits, they score all of that in together. So that's that one. So advanced plus or advanced, and you get the buyer intent dashboard, and Smart Links is in there too. Let's have a look if there's any more questions. Stephen's doing all the questions, and I've got Elizabeth here in a second. So, good question here from how long does a typical priming take? So this is where it can vary. So I've got two clients at the moment. They're only looking for £1 million plus deals. So they're not looking to sell a 50 quid thing. And some of theirs, the people that they're looking at are responsible for hundreds of millions, if not billions of pounds of revenue and stuff like that. So when we look at their decision maker, there is by its nature a longer process. I'll come to what if the decision maker's got a PA in a moment. So that's really important. That sometimes you have effectively a bigger, very senior decision maker, and so it takes a bit longer. But typically 2 or 3 weeks, you can prime a prospect, get connected, and get to a point of a meeting. One of our clients is in cybersecurity. They only talk to CIOs and CISOs of major institutions and big corporate companies. They did 79 meetings in the last 60 days using this process, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you think that these people are making decisions about major expenditure lines, getting a meeting with one of those is world changing. So that's what I'm saying about the quality rather than quantity. I've also seen people trying to get £1 million services into companies and using template messages. And I go, what are you doing? What are you doing? If one of them comes off, you've smashed your sales target for the year, but you're treating it like it's disposable. And we get into this kind of behavior that it's just a numbers game. And there is an element of numbers game. But if you take that numbers game too far, you erode the quality of the work you're doing. And so there's no skill in it anymore. There's no relationship anymore. You're just hoping to stumble on somebody in that moment, at that time, when the stars align and the moon's at its highest, and you've landed that message and hit somebody. And that is the worst form of sales outreach, because there's no skill in it. There's no thought in it. It's just fire it out and hope for the best. So hopefully that's helpful. Elizabeth, I think your Kajabi is obviously, you could upload those contacts to Sales Navigator, but it's more about scoring them from a buying intent. So I don't think it's Kajabi would help you in that sense. Let's see if there's any more questions. No more questions so far. Dean's put a question here. Yes. So Dean Malloy, he's complimenting me, which is good. Is there any some of your short messages that get attention? Well, funny you should say that. So I have a little digital course that we have developed called Social Selling with Sales Navigator, but we've actually just upgraded it because obviously LinkedIn rolls out new stuff. So inside that, there is some of our templates, the training on some of the buyer intent and all that kind of stuff. And I'll just flick it onto my screen so you can see it here. So this is what it is. Sorry to do a sales pitch, but Dean set me up, and I promise Dean didn't pay me to do this. So this is our old course, but we've actually upgraded it. So we've not changed the graphics yet, but we've upgraded it because there's so much more stuff. So there's message templates in there, there's tutorial videos, but because this is the upgraded version of our course and we haven't released it yet, for everybody who signs up, they get 2 coaching sessions as well. So one of our sales experts, LinkedIn selling experts, will actually do 2 coaching calls with you for the 195 with the course and the message templates. The reason we're doing that is primarily whenever you make a course like this, there's going to be gaps in the knowledge of what you put in. So doing the coaching calls, if there's a gap in the course that we need to fill, or there's a bit of knowledge we've missed out, or there's something helpful that we do on the coaching, we can kind of put it in. So that's why we do this. So I will send you the link to this if you want to sign up for it. But you get the coaching sessions, the message templates, the works. Right. So that answered Dean there. So enterprise clients. Hi, Reese. The upgrade from Premium to Sales Navigator Core, how do you get the other things? So when you've got Sales Navigator, I've got the corporate account, so I can't do this. When you go into Sales Navigator and you go into your account, there's an upgrade button once you've got Core. So I'd strongly suggest sign up for monthly, get in the monthly, and then you can upgrade. That's how you can do it. Oh, Elizabeth's done this course as well. Great. So how we get the enterprise client, also what to do for getting attention of the client in LinkedIn. So Tanvir, it's all about the interactions beforehand, and it's about a relational message. So it's understanding the pain points of your prospects before you outreach. So many outreaches are just template. Look how amazing we are. Let's quote a whole load of big names so you know we're amazing. There's two ways. There's you tell people how amazing you are, and hopefully that convinces them to talk to you. Or you play relationship and curiosity and pique someone's interest. I've always gone down the pique someone's interest, and it's worked incredibly well for me. So, Reese, yes. So, Reese, actually, what works best in the comment is comments, first of all. Now, not everybody has comments. So that's the tricky bit. Commenting on things does make a huge difference, way more than likes. Other things that work quite well is shares, and also what can be useful. And I'll just pick David here. David Faulkner is a member of our team, but I'll pick on him because he is. So David here, right? And I can see he's posted something, and I can see from what David's doing that he's shared a post about a sign. So I might go, for an example, images. I'll just give you an example. I'll save this image onto the desktop. And then what I might do to David is say, saw your post today about signs, and then this popped up. Must be sign. Now, I like to use humor. Some people don't like to use humor, and that's okay, right? But human beings, for you to get on with somebody, for you to build a relationship with somebody, you have to get on with them. So I would always mirror whatever they're doing. So if they're doing something, you do follow the same. So David shared a video about a sign. What are your career goals? Saw your post about signs, then it's popped up, must be a sign. Just being funny. He'll reply back. It's just low-key relationship stuff. I had a whole conversation with somebody on LinkedIn about nothing to do with what I do, just about something that they talked about in their post, whole chain of conversation about it. And then at the end of it, I said, I'd love to get 20 minutes with you at some point, see how you're doing your social selling. Yeah, okay. When do you want? Low key. It's not about having the slickest pitch. It's about being the best relationship person, because people buy into people. And if you're trying to hunt down and find that needle in a haystack, you will be constantly trying to find the needle in the haystack. For every 100 you send, you get 3. For every 4 I send, I get 1. So that's the way I approach it. So relational messaging. So let's have a look. Tanvir, you need to understand, okay, what is it I do and why would they need it? What's going on in their world that means they need our service? So what are the pain points? What are the things that are causing them issues and challenges and setbacks and getting in the way of their plans and their business plan and their future growth? You need to map that out. Neil, how often do you eat or drink Marmite? Is that because you can see it at the back, or is it because so Neil actually raises a good point. You're not going to get on with everybody. You aren't. The Marmite over my shoulder here is actually my. It was bought for me. It was bought for me, and they put my name on it. So you can't get on with everybody, but you've got to use your relationship, your personal skills to bond and connect with people. And so you going all straight laced, and I'm not saying you become like a crazy, unprofessional person, but I am saying that you have to be human and you'll warm to people, you'll engage with people in a far better way. Stephen, it's not necessary to upgrade. But if you are going to make use of the buyer intent, then it's worthwhile. So it is. I think it's about $89.99 versus $69.99 if I correct advanced or advanced plus. I'm not. I'm on a corporate account, so we don't pay in the same way. We pay like for multiple annual licenses. So it is worth it, but only if you're going to use it. So that's why I encourage you before you commit to it, that if you've never used it before, there'll be a free trial. If you've not had premium in the last 12 months, there'll probably be a free trial. And it's worthwhile doing it and making it a routine first. The key is getting a routine. It's not understanding software. You know, anybody can learn LinkedIn, anybody can learn Sales Navigator, and anybody can adapt templates. That's not the question here. It's not the knowledge and it's not the technology that's holding you back. It's the routine, it's the process, it's the organization, and being honest, it's the commitment to actually doing it. Because, you know, if I sat with you now in a coaching session and I went, let's do this now, put this in, you get a client instantly, you will do this for the rest of your life. But to actually get success, you might have to do a few messages. You might have to get into the swing of it. It might feel a bit clunky. And that's where it takes the determination to make it work. Your challenge in making it work is not about technology. It's not about know-how, because I can provide all of that. You can go and get it for 195 quid off our site. It's actually you instilling the behaviors into the way you approach LinkedIn so that you get the best result. And that is a challenge. Any other questions other than about Marmite? How often do I eat and drink? Shall I show you? Marmite. So somebody bought me that. So one final thing I was going to show you on Sales Navigator. So let me just show you this that I think is useful for you. When you go into the account filters, and this can be quite useful for companies where it's a tricky one, is inside Sales Navigator, you can actually search not just by company's location, but how big the department is. So say you're a marketing agency and you're looking to talk to big companies. So let me just show you an example. So I'm just going to pick on companies that are reasonably sized. So look at the size of those companies. And then I'm going to go, okay, but their marketing department is, I think we can do 0 to 1. So there are 25,000 companies in the world with a small marketing department. And let's just see how many are in the United Kingdom, or even a non-existent marketing department. Why is it showing me region? Oh, headquarters location. Oh, don't tell me you're playing up LinkedIn. There it is. So there's 1,000 companies with huge numbers of people, but don't have a big designated marketing department. Now, they might have people handling marketing, but they don't really have a marketing department. Why is that an opportunity? Well, that tells you actually they're outsourcing. They're doing a lot of outsourcing. It's not a primary function, so there might be opportunities for agencies, graphic designers, content writers, the works. So this department headcount can be quite useful for finding companies where they're either massively resourced in one area or under-resourced, which tells you there's an opportunity. The other thing that can be useful is when you look at the headcount growth, you can actually look at which companies have been growing, which companies have grown by more than 25% and up to 500% growth in the last 12 months. And there's 594 companies. And let me just see if I can, I don't know whether I can do this, but there's 50 companies that have exploded in growth in that size really quickly. So you can filter, and likewise, you could do it the other way around. Mine, I don't think we can do 5 minus 90% to minus 10%. I think I've got these the right way around. So companies that have cut back quite tough, you can see in this category that these have cut back, and obviously Public Health England have done because of the wrapping up of some of the pandemic measures. But you can see the companies that are contracting, and so that might be an opportunity too. So I just wanted to leave those search filters with you because they're quite useful, quite helpful. And likewise, I will share this link. We'll put it in the chat on LinkedIn. I'll put it on my profile because I think I'm live on my profile as well. So, and feel free, by the way, to come connect with me, ask questions. I'll put it on the chat here if you want to join it and sign up for it. Remember, don't buy this on the website. It's the old one. This is the new one. So the new one's got the bundle with the extra training, and it's got the coaching calls in, which you can book like instantly. So any more questions from the session tonight? Any more questions? I was worried you may question this. It's a priming idea. Oh, right. Okay. So any more questions? So I'm confident we can get you rolling on Sales Navigator. So if you really want to make a success of it, we're rolling out this course in beta mode. So you get two coaching calls with our team. They'll help you implement it, help you use the templates, help you start outreaching, engaging with people. But they'll also give you all the digital training. So if you want that, brilliant. Come find me. And likewise, if you've got value from this session, please like, comment, and share about it, please. Follow our page wherever you're joining, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Follow our page. We do more of these things. We want to add value into your world. And if we can help you as a client on our courses, great. But we want to add value into your world and make you see that there's tons of ways that you can get clients and grow faster. So thank you for joining me. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time where we'll be talking about content that converts. So you can sign up on LinkedIn or you can sign up on Eventbrite. Just search on Eventbrite for Maverick. You'll find our events there. Like our pages, check out the course that we've got there, get the coaching calls. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for joining me.
Dean's strategy helped me find clients. I created clients for my business with this program. it works.
My connections have grown, my reach has grown, my views have grown, and actually so has my business revenue. Over that 3-month period, I have actually signed up 3 new clients at a cost of £50,000. That's over just the 3-month period. So it's worth it.
Every single time there's a session, I just feel like it's just a golden moment. Every single session brings me something really new and really valuable, and I've started to attract high value client sales, which is wonderful, and it's really given our business a boost.
Dean Seddon and the Maverick team, what can I say? Apart from absolutely awesome.
The results have been amazing. We have had loads of incoming leads coming into our lead funnels and workflow processes on our website, and we've also built a really successful community around the content that we produce and push out into our LinkedIn channels. My team has also learned a lot from working with the team at Maverick, and they've also helped us really create fantastic events on LinkedIn.
I'm much more confident, and all of that, without a shadow of doubt, is down to the work and the training and support I've had from Dean and the rest of his team as part of the Accelerator course.
In terms of the training, Maverick have been absolutely fantastic. They've been so supportive. They've talked me through all the stages of what you have to do, why you have to do it, the benefits of doing it the way they tell us to do it. And I've gone from being with no social media to being actually addicted, because I can see what this can do for lead generation, generating new business. It's just been incredible, and Maverick have been superb throughout the whole process.
The guys at Maverick, they've been great. Dean and his team, very knowledgeable, wealth of experience, and we've had quite a few one-to-ones now that really taught us the depths, the nooks and crannies of LinkedIn, which none of us would have known before, and I think we can continue to use that going forward, and it's been great so far, and I hope to continue to use it as well.